Hello, and welcome to The Fountain, a 6-part series from Salt and Light Leadership Training. We're coming to you from Victory Church in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and welcome on behalf of all of the SALT staff. You should know that we have been praying for you, we've been talking about you, and you should really cling to the fact is that you have been called for such a time as this.
So over the next 6 weeks, we'll spend about 10 minutes together in conversation over some key topics and some key themes about our role in this city and how we can lead our families, our communities, and help our colleagues out at this time. Then you'll spend some time together and we'll be there with you. And if there's anything we can do for you at Salt and Light Leadership Training, please let Wes or I know. But let's start right there this morning, Wes, with a conversation about a time such as this. I know as you've been talking to a lot of our alum, and I've been talking to many of you, we've heard a weightiness, right, to this moment. There's some heavy hearts right now, some shaken people about this time and what they can do or what they should be doing.
Well, you are so right. And in fact, it's out of those conversations that we actually decided that the first episode of The Fountain, we would talk about probably one of the most important things that we can be talking about, and that's the power of identity. You see, A.W. Tozer made this comment. He said, what you believe about God is the most important thing about you. And I would tack on a second piece of that, and that is that what you believe God says about you is the second most important thing, because those two things together are the entirety of the subject of identity that matters, and how those are configured and what you believe will utterly determine the trajectory of your life as a sent person by the living God to this moment.
So Wes, I'm sure everyone listening right now is thinking the same thing that I was when you just said that, right? I remember SALT Class 4, sitting in Tishmingo on Mark Nuttall's ranch with my fellow classmates and hearing this theme that no one else is coming and realizing it was kind of level up for my game and for my role. And it also made me realize that the God that designed this universe designed me knowing about this time right now. So what would you say to our alums that are processing that thought at this moment?
That's great. And in fact, what I would say to you all is I'd first hearken to two verses specifically. One is Psalms 139, and that is, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And the other one is Ephesians 2:10 in the Amplified Version. I really like it. So listen to this. This is about you. For we are God's own handiwork, recreated in Christ Jesus, born anew, that we may do those good works which God predestined for us, taking paths which He prepared ahead of time, that we should walk in them, living the good life which He prearranged and made ready for us to live. So Michael, when we talk about God has manufactured, He has designed, built us with an era in mind, sending us to a moment in history, to a geographic location, as actually the purposeful part of a predetermined, overarching strategy to redeem the earth. I mean, and you all, right now, in the midst of all of this, He sent to this moment.
You know, Wes, I'm thinking to some of the questions and some of the comments, the prayer requests that we've received, and there's many of our leaders that feel the call to engage. They don't know how, or they're trying to find their way. One of our good friends, Scott Williams, has a great line where he says, fumble and find, right? It's that initiative. But for a lot of them, there's a sense of loneliness right now, especially with proximity and being quarantined. But we're not alone.
No, in fact, and you've just touched on something. This is the whole big idea also behind the fountain in the first place. We've heard that heart cry. You all are like beleaguered outposts in so many ways. So we craft this conversation right here to give you the opportunity to leverage just this 10-minute conversation around connecting with your fellow leaders in this community and to discuss and to be transparent, to support one another, to pray for one another, and to lift one another up. So don't waste this opportunity. In fact, keep this in mind. It's only in the moments of adversity, it's only in those moments that you can really take an accurate measure on what do you really believe. And so these conversations that you can share, and it's okay to be fumbling, as Scott likes to put it. It's okay to do that, because life with God is all about just getting up. You just keep getting up. You keep getting up, showing up, and God will show up.
And in those moments, please remember, Jesus has told us that we're not alone. He will always be with us. And Wes, let's take another step here moving forward in terms of initiative right now. And it's scary out there, right? Yeah. I've talked with a couple of our leaders that have been working on the state task force, the health task force specifically for the coronavirus. I've talked to healthcare workers that are, and I think it's important to understand that SALT alumni are all over this city right now, leading in multiple ways. And so there's always a way to get involved, but there's always also someone that we were in class with or a fellow alum that's making a difference right now.
That's exactly right. And we would just tell each of you, this is a great moment. In fact, literally, as I was walking in here, Michael, before I walked inside, I get a phone call from a young alum. And he's sharing with me, and this guy is a big-time leader. He's done some great stuff, but he's just feeling the weight of it. Yeah. And so that's when you really just have to be so purposeful about not only drinking the spiritual Gatorade you need to replenish yourself, because we're leading. We are constantly having to lift people up and encourage them. So drink the Gatorade, which is the stories of the men and women who have gone before you, who have walked out adversity, and remind yourself of that He's with us. I mean, for example, one of the things that we want to talk about, we want them talking about as you all get into small groups and have conversations about this. We want you to be mindful. There's a great example in history of that trajectory that we talk about. And it's a great story in the Bible. You've all remembered the story of the 12 spies. And it's a story of 10 of them who had a different belief on who their father was and who he said they was. And famously, it says this in Numbers 13:33, "There we saw the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so were we in their sight." Nothing that the people in the promised land did caused those 10 guys to think they were insects. They did that to themselves. And so consequently, it's a time to remember, what are you going to believe in this moment? And so as you come together and you have conversations in the aftermath of this conversation here, discuss that. Lift one another up. Ask yourselves, take stock of one another and ask, so Joe, where are you right now in that? Are you feeling like one of the 10 spies or Joshua or Caleb? And lift one another up and pray for one another.
For this week, we have 2 questions in specific for you all to consider. Ask yourself, in the COVID-19 pandemic, are my thoughts, words, and deeds like those of the Insect 10 or of the Big God 2? And a follow-up question that you might consider is, how can you encourage and support one another such that your thinking and conduct right now serves as a calling to leaders in this moment?
Yeah, here's the deal. You can do this. You can do this. God has sent you to this generation. There's no one else He's going to be sending to this generation. You're it. We're the team on the ground right now. He has complete faith that you can do this thing. And so drink from the fountain of life right now and share it with one another. And do not forget, He is with you in every moment.
Thank you for taking this time with Wes and I this morning and spending time together as a community, leaning into your city at a time such as this. If we at SALT can do anything for you, a prayer request, any service that you need, if you need an ear of someone to talk to, we are here. Please reach out to us, and we look forward to reaching out to you and talking to you. God bless. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you for segment 2 next week here on The Fountain.